We're live, Mr. Joe.
Señor, ¿cómo estás?
Bien, bien, gracias. Bien, bien, bien,
Yeah,
bien. Yeah,
excelente all around. Excelente en
yeah,
todo.
doing okay.
Yeah, yeah, come see, come saw.
Yep.
Que sera, sera.
Sarah,
Um,
Sarah.
so what'd you end up doing after the show yesterday?
What did I end up doing after the show yesterday? Had an interview, but it got screwed
Down
up.
at the Whole Foods?
That's it. No, my guest was having some bandwidth issues, but my guest was Jack Newald, which I'm excited about. So we're redoing it this afternoon. So Jack is the guy that comes up with all the great friggin' analysis that I quote all the time on the show uh, uh, on Twitter, and he's got a newsletter. Young guy, but has really done a great job of building up a profile and a brand. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. What he thinks of the market, et cetera, et cetera. But we had some connectivity issues yesterday on his end. He and
You
his
just weren't feeling it?
he and his girlfriend live in Mexico, and he's from Minnesota and lived in New York before he moved to Mexico. But smart guy that he is, went someplace where it's really cheap to live. So
Did I tell you about my recent conversation with the Uber driver?
I'm not sure. What was that?
Same thing. Living in Medellin, Colombia for like 9, 10 months during the pandemic. And, you know, basically, I think spending like $250 a month with his stimulus checks, I guess, or his PPP money.
Nice.
And, I just started realizing I should have done something like that. And then I go, oh, yeah, but, children and responsibilities and things like that. You can't just go jetting off to the tropical $20 a month wonderland.
Yep, absolutely.
You get to fantasize about that digitally here, but with your own wonderland.
Like we talked about the other day, eventually I'm going to have the nomad's life. So hoping to live some of that. So I got in trouble. I got to call my mother-in-law because because I started streaming us to Facebook on my profile. Yeah. She listened to the show the other day. She's probably listening now. Hi, Mom. And I wonder if
hi, Brad, mom-in-law.
She heard me say, well, I went back and actually listened to it last night because I got in trouble. I went back and listened to what I said. And what I said was, we're going to have a home base here and then probably someplace like Georgia where my parents live where it's cheap, or somewhere in the mountains, right? But all she heard was Georgia and the mountains. She didn't hear here, meaning Miami, that we would still have a home base here. And so in her mind, it meant that we were leaving her after the grandchildren were off at university, that we would be leaving her here by herself. So we're not going to do that. I promise. We love you, but we are going to travel. So, but we will have a Florida home base. So
I keep seeing that opening scene from Beverly Hillbillies.
You mean during the theme song?
No, how when everybody's like gearing up for a road trip.
You mean when they're loading up the truck?
They load up the crude.
There's oil in them hills or whatever it is.
Tea or black.
Yeah, he shoots the ground and the oil comes popping up.
First thing you know, Jed's a millionaire.
Yeah.
No, but so said you got in trouble with because your mother-in-law was like calling your wife and going, "Yeah, I told you you'd be coming here to Georgia eventually."
No, that's my mom. My parents live in Georgia. She was mad. She lives here in Miami. And she thought that meant was we were not going to have a home base here. But I actually said in the broadcast, I said here and then maybe Georgia or the mountains, right? But she heard nothing here. She just heard Georgia and the mountains.
Yeah, and I don't see any mountains, and I know George is a 5-hour drive from here.
So,
So Brad ain't including me.
Yeah. So anyway, that was that's
Brad
yeah.
wants you to know that you'll always have a place in whatever house he's in.
That's it, and we will. We are not going to not come back to Miami, so it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Anyway, so what's the market doing at the moment, Joe? Let me. I just pulled up prices a
Trying to
second
figure
ago, and
out
I
what to
forgot to
do with
look at
that
them.
600 million you stole.
So Bitcoin at 46,436, so down about 1,000 from when I looked earlier, and Ethereum at 3358, down about 100 from when I looked earlier. So a little drop off here. I guess we can expect it. We've been doing that for a couple of weeks now. So, so this is the Ronin AxieInfinity hack, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, this is like a hack, exploit, whatever. It was an exploit, but here, I mean, I I don't I don't understand how people forget this shit, right? So I don't know all the details, but what I do know is this: there was some issue with they built AxieInfinity built this blockchain because they needed to reduce the costs and the fees, and so they wanted to have their own blockchain where the fees were free or really cheap, and so that could be fast, right? So they built this blockchain. And great idea. I actually think that's smart for gaming. But there were only 9, I think it was 9, maybe 6, whatever. There were only like a small number of validators on this proof of stake chain. And I'm sure they thought, well, we don't really need the validators. This isn't like a massive chain we're putting out for the whole world. It's just for our game. Like, I'm sure later they were going to expand and have more validators. So at some point last year, there's Ronin, which is the blockchain, and AxieInfinity, which is the game company, right? And evidently, there's a team at Ronin and there's a team at AxieInfinity. I'm assuming they work very closely together, since basically that's the whole purpose of Ronin. But evidently, they were, of the 9 validators, I think 5 of them were Ronin people and 4 of them were AxieInfinity people, or something like that. Anyway, at the end of the day, they passed some governance resolution amongst the 9 of them, I guess. I don't know how the fuck their governance works. That AxieInfinity would take over, the AxieInfinity people would take over all of the transfers and mechanisms and voting for the Ronin validators. End of the day, that was supposed to only go through sometime in December, I guess. And I don't have all the details, obviously. But the bottom line was they were supposed to switch it back, and they never switched it back. And then in the process left some exploit open that allowed this person to basically just drain every fucking coin off the blockchain because they forgot to switch control back. And I'm like, how?
Oops.
This is what I always tell to my son, children. I tell my children, they always go, "Oh, I forgot, Dad," or "Oh shit, I forgot about I'm supposed to take the trash out," or "I forgot that I'm supposed to get the trash cans in." And I'm like, this phone right here. Hey Siri, remind me at 10 a.m. on December 27th to lock down the $650 million fucking dollars.
Or please broadcast seed phrase indiscriminately.
Look, this is all they had to do. Siri, look, Siri, lock down the $650 million fucking dollars. Like, what the fuck? I mean, that's just stupid shit. And now they've tanked their business. I don't. And one of these gaming commentators, we just give them fuel, right? Because there's all these guys in gaming that are opposed to NFTs, they're opposed to blockchain, blah, blah, blah. They've bought into the fucking environmental shit, all of this shit, right? So there's this group that's like the opponents of blockchain in gaming. And what did we do? We gave them fuel, but it's hard to argue with this argument. AxieInfinity's number 1 users are poor people in the fucking Philippines. that are working full time 10, 12, 14 hours a day on this fucking game to pay for their home and their families. $350 a month, which is a good living in the Philippines, right? Well, if all of these people have been stacking and holding their tokens that they've gotten, and now all of the value's been drained out, not only is this just a colossal fuck up for their business, but it's a colossal fucking impact on people who were dependent on them for their living. And the level of irresponsibility of it is just fucking colossal to me. It's just it's like, look, I get it. You're making money. Things are moving fast. Things are chaotic in a startup. It's all kind of crazy, yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, you forget something like this shit so that your business gets destroyed and the people who have counted on you to fucking feed their families are destroyed. I'm sorry. You don't deserve to be in this business because you're just fucked up and now you're feeding all the people who are coming after us. Anyway, sorry. Can't tell. I feel strongly about this.
I just was trying to think. I was remembering a lot of people talking about AxieInfinity. I did see Chuck had a question about Ola. Do you know when they're going to be back on?
He's talking about this lending protocol that was down from an exploit. And I don't know, Chuck. We'll take a look at that. So I gather you don't feel as strongly about this exploit as I do.
I mean, I think that everybody that gets exploited is probably a small fish to a certain extent. I don't know how this I feel like what a bunch of dumb shits, or do I feel like they just said fuck this, let's leave the door open so anybody can take it.
No, I don't think it was intentional. I think it was just a colossal screw up.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. They have a shit ton of money invested in them, like a ton. I got to see who invested in Axie, but I know A16Z, all the big names.
I think it's big names. Absolutely. I'm looking real quick too.
It's just so irresponsible.
Well, you see this stuff happen, just all the time, stupid shit. I mean, everything from people leaving the jet door open. So people getting
I can excuse the people, not excuse, but I can understand when in thousands of lines of code there is a vulnerability from another set of code that you're utilizing, or vulnerability like 5 layers back of developers that nobody had noticed yet, and you get exploited, right? That I can say, okay, yeah, well, look, it's stupid. They should have checked everything. But at the same time, I get it. But something like this, where it's like, all you got to do is fucking throw the switch back, it's just, to me, it's frustrating that, that they didn't take it that seriously. So anyway, it is what it is. So
no, I'm with you.
Terra bought another almost $3,000 Bitcoin, $140 million. So they keep pumping us up a little bit. I'm sure other people are just like, okay, let me push this back down and let them buy some more. So, but that keeps us rolling in the price range. MetaMask has now added. I don't know if you have the MetaMask browser on your phone, Joe. Do you have that?
No.
So the MetaMask wallet on the app on the phone is actually pretty decent. I actually like the interface on the phone better than their desktop interface. It's a lot easier to use, a lot better. But they now supposedly have made it that you can add funds by using Apple Pay, which they're already doing. I think the last number I saw was they're making $10 to $15 million a month on swap transaction fees right now, and this should just jack that up, and I'm sure they get some piece of the transaction. They're using SendWire, which I've actually looked at before in the past, which is a bank to crypto integration scheme, and I think there are limits. I think you can only buy like $300 at a time or something. But this certainly opens the door and should make other folks think about the fact that, products like SendWire, and I think the other one's Moon something, make it, maximum $400 a day. Make it so that a lot more dApps can start integrating with the real world. And look, I mean, people younger than you and I live primarily on their phones, right? That's their access to crypto and DeFi, and everything else is through their phones. So anything that makes this easier to get people onboarded, and apps that are making it simpler and easier to participate in DeFi, it's a good thing. So I'm not a big fan of MetaMask, the company around MetaMask right now, because of the way they've been playing centralized. But this is a smart move, and I hope I see more people do it. So.
You're just mad because Joe wouldn't give you a kiss back.
That's it. How'd you know?
I could tell.
Opera. I actually use the Opera browser. I don't use the Opera crypto browser. I use the Opera gaming browser, because the Opera gaming browser has resource controls built into it. And I don't quite understand why Opera thinks other users of their browser wouldn't want resource controls built into it, and why they think they need these verticalized branded browsers. But so what, they do. But their crypto version of their browser, which has a built-in wallet, now supports 8 more blockchain networks. So Polygon, Solana, StarkX, I think Avalanche. No, not Avalanche. Solana, Polygon, StarkX, Ronin. Oh, good, Ronin. Cello, Nervos, IXO, and Bitcoin. So no Phantom, no Avalanche yet. But I would assume that'll come pretty quickly. But anyway, glad to see that they're just expanding that. I will say this: I've used their wallet in the past, and the interface is kind of version 0.2. It's not great. Its integration with DeFi is difficult at best. So I'm not recommending anybody go out and use it yet, but there are a lot of users of Opera, the browser, and I've always advocated that the wallet should be tightly integrated into the browser for DeFi usage. So we'll see. We'll see if it helps them grow their user base.
It's too bad, you.
What?
I'm just thinking, this is about where someone comes in with Elon Musk charity-driven wallet. So if you send Ethereum to this address, and then is what funds all the other wallets out there that they keep spamming you about.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go. Somebody would actually believe that.
The DeFi sector TVL rises as investors return to a bullish crypto market. I mean, that's a big proclamation, bullish. I'm not quite sure we're there yet, but he was making the point when he wrote this article. When did he write this? 18 hours ago. That the fear and greed index is at 55, which is pretty good relative to, we were sitting in the low 20s for a long time there. But I wanted to see. Sorry, shows that a majority of the top tokens in the DeFi sector have posted double-digit gains. Thorchain up 199.8%, Aave up 53.59%. But I wanted to see the locked value. Now sitting at 228.05 billion. And the previous high is 256.62 billion. So we're getting pretty close to the previous high.
Most of the crypto price is off.
Yeah,
a lot of shit's still off 90%.
Yeah, exactly. So any bump, any move upward, like Bitcoin crosses that 50,000 mark, and it's going to look pretty good. NFT marketplaces overtake DEXs. That's interesting. I hadn't even read that part of this article.
See if I can sell me some NFTs.
Yeah, let's hope. I think there's just more and more coming is the problem.
You can always sell your chain binders once if you need to.
Yeah, absolutely. AstarNetwork. Did I finish reading this? Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it because I didn't finish reading it. Oh, but there was something interesting here I wanted to pull out. Oh, that's it. So I'm assuming this is another blockchain. Let me take a look at what they describe it as. Smart contract hub. Oh, for WASM and WebAssembly and EVM and the top parachain on Polkadot. So this is another chain for Polkadot. But this was interesting and might help them grow and blow up a bit. Where was it? They are, where's the rewards? Hold on. this guy's basically running a summary of why he thinks it'll do well. And he talks about the incentives that all the chains have for developers to move to their protocol. But what he says is AstarNetwork is trying to change this paradigm of offering those incentives with what they're calling DApp staking. 25% of new tokens generated by the protocol are shared with developers. Users are selecting those projects because they get another 25% of the inflated supply. So just using these protocols, there will be another, if you're on this Astar network, users of these DeFi protocols will actually get a bump of, so you're going to share 25% of the supply that's generated, and the developers get another 25% of the supply that's generated. That's a really interesting incentivization model to me. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm going to take a further look at AstarNetwork. And I've never really taken much of a deep dive on anything going over on the Polkadot network, but anyway. So
what's it called? Astar?
ASTAR. The Twitter handle is Astar at AstarNetwork.
Interesting.
So, I can't let a week go by without busting on Algorand a little bit. So
come on, you got like a blow up Mooch doll in your man cave, don't you?
Yeah, let's see. Oh, let's see if I got through. Did they change? Have they updated their website? I really should be fair and make sure that
you're on like a Homeland Security list now. So
no, they haven't changed it. It's still the same shit.
No, I don't know. I don't know this guy.
So I landed on this. I'm not sure how the hell I found this, but this is a really fascinating concept. And I actually started reading through the documentation. I'm still not completely comfortable with how this functions, because it's not a layer 2. It's like a separate node structure for existing blockchains. But the cool thing about it is it essentially creates a machine for execution. It's almost like when I interviewed Boba Network, their entire model was having part of their network be off chain so that machine learning, artificial intelligence work could be done and then stored on the blockchain. And so they built this model that had this secure model for computing, but the computing happened on, say, Amazon Web Services servers so that they could utilize GPU resources, etc. This sounds very similar to what Boba's doing, and it also utilizes optimism, which is what Boba has. But the really cool thing about this is, so let's talk about it. Like they say, hello world, there's a new OS. We've taken 30 years of software development, given it a new home. I think they could have gotten a little more to the point, but I like the theme of it. But here's the thing it says. Cartesi is the first blockchain OS. It allows developers to build decentralized logic with Linux and standard programming environments, preserving the decentralization of security of blockchains. That means moving beyond Solidity and coding smart contracts with rich software tools, libraries, and services developers are used to, all while free from scalability limits. So essentially what they're saying is any developer developing in C#, Python, or any tools that they already use can actually build smart contract-focused applications utilizing Cartesi without changing how they operate and without learning Solidity, right? So they kind of get straight to the point of anybody can come here and develop, anybody can use it. They keep the concept simple. They go straight into what it all means, how it all functions in the documentation, and then they, show you the benefits back and forth, which is really what Algorand should be doing. I'm really fascinated by this because I think, again, it's kind of like when we talk about extracting the UI out of DeFi. I think extracting complexity out of development for DeFi is really important. And I think this idea of being able to give people the ability to use whatever tools they're used to using on Linux to build applications for blockchain has a lot of potential. So anyway, found this interesting.
It's like the Algorand guys almost look like the Cartesi guys, but kind of all sleazed up. You know what
I mean? Exactly.
It's like throw a little heavy dose of boiler room closing, and You got it, man.
Exactly. And I just like the way they message. I like the way they focus on it, and I think it's smart. So the
Well,
last thing
the
go
people
ahead.
look like you. The people look like you too.
Yeah, they look
They're all,
exactly like
they're
me.
all kind of middle-aged, pear-shaped individuals. But
Okay. Uh, so Router is
oh yeah, I'm router.
Router has now utilized their their whole plan was this seamless mesh network where users don't have to worry about what network they're on, right?
Yep,
What protocol they're on. So they now have completed with, I think they call it super mesh.
sounds right.
Yeah, they've now completed a cross integration between Ethereum and Phantom. So I think this could be a real boost for Phantom. A seamless way to get back and forth between Ethereum and Phantom is a really smart thing, especially when you look at like Alchemix, uh, Olympus DAO, and all of the other protocols that are going first to Phantom. This is something that has the potential to really make that an easier transition for the protocols that have been Ethereum only. So you've got Bean. You've got Liquidity. You've got all these other protocols that started first on Ethereum that now have the potential to allow their users to easily not bridge, because it's not a bridge, but easily just transfer back and forth without knowing, what network they're on. So I'm impressed that they're still cranking away over there. Router is affiliated with DeFi, which we've talked about quite a bit in the past in terms of that platform. I know they have separate developers and teams, but cross chain super mesh. So anyway, pretty impressed with their continuing to produce, and they are continuing to produce and make shit happen. And we've talked about in the past, Joe. We've talked about in the past that the projects that make it so that users don't care what network they're on, they can just transact, are the ones who ultimately in the longer term are probably going to win big. And I think Router, despite the fact that, DeFi is growing, but not growing at like massive scale, billions of dollars scale, I think that they are positioning themselves with everything they're doing on DeFi and everything they're doing on Router. DeFi now is on multiple chains. Router is now going to make it seamless. Those two things integrated, I think, position DeFi as potentially a future leader. They're not today a big leader in the whole scheme of things of DeFi, but they are building all these building blocks up to be in that position eventually. And to me, that's really powerful. So I've really been seriously considering, after I saw this article yesterday, going back to take a look at some of that, what's going on DeFi, and also maybe staking some more DeFi over there on their protocol, because I think these are really smart guys. I interviewed the CEO of DeFi, and I'm really impressed with how they're building, and I think there's a ton of potential for a company that's saying, you know what, we're going to lay the foundations, we're going to lay the groundwork, and we're going to have all these pieces in place. And then someday somebody's going to realize, oh, holy shit, DeFi is the interface to Router, and users can now do everything across all of these chains without even knowing that they're crossing chains.
Indeed, that would be top tier. I was doing a lot of mining on Define for a lot of the summer, or at least the July, August onward time frame, and
Yep.
I remember we were always waiting on a router, and so I was in and out of that a couple times, and I got out the last time it ran up back in a couple months ago, but not near the top. I had been in since like I think 270 or something, so I just kind of thought it was time to go. But everybody, this is the holy grail. Everybody wants this, this seamless infrastructure, hidden behind the scenes, instant execution, always on, always there, but not noticed kind of thing.
Yep.
And I think if we get to that, then that's what makes all of this really go.
Yeah.
Until then, though, I think like we said, we're always trying to, patch things together.
Yep.
Which is the way it is in all early stage tech.
Yep. So Chuck's actually brought up some good things here. First of all, on the Ola lending platform. It was a weird logic bug in their smart contract that let the contracts call back into themselves and basically spend, loan, redeem the same currency more than once, I think. Yeah, that's not good. But then he said, but this is why the code is not the law. Make the contract stupid simple and put a complex business logic off chain, just my 2 cents. Oh, of course. And then we got into Cartesi. And they call me Ken said pear-shaped, laughing my ass off. Thanks. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
Chuck says Cartesi, the BlockchainOS, is a layer 2 platform for the development and deployment of scalable, decentralized applications. He said this is just a layer 2 solution with a different programming model from EVM, maybe AWS secure enclaves and private chain for consensus results. Yeah, I mean, it is extracting away computation to it. By the way, Chuck, I think when I was reading through their documentation, they actually had a mention of a similar model in their system to a product called TrueBit. So anyway, you may want to take a look at that. So thanks for your feedback, dude. That's good stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
As to whether or not these guys, Router and Define can actually execute. I mean, that's what you have to figure out as a participant.
Yeah, look, I think they have a good team. They have solid backing. Polygon's behind them, and a bunch of other big protocols and investors are behind them. They are India-based, so I think all of us, I think everybody has to be careful because of the regulatory posture in India has been even worse than in the United States. And so there is some risk for them. I saw yesterday a video of a, I don't know if it's representative or assembly member or Senate or whatever in the Indian government. One of the representatives got up and gave a big rant about essentially you can have Indians continue to be the indirect darlings of tech because they all moved to the United States and elsewhere to start companies, or you can have it happen here in India. And basically calling out regulators and saying, if you continue to do this, you're going to destroy an industry that's growing rapidly in that country. And it's true. It is growing dramatically. And they have gone, we've talked about this in the past, they've gone from back office to leaders and have overcome kind of what their role was in the tech ecosystem. And it's just insanity that the Indian government is stifling that, and they will stifle it, right? They'll take them from a potential leadership position to one of followers and people leaving the country because they can't do what they want to do. So anyway, that's the only risk I would put in for that. But I think that Define and team and Router team would probably just move out and continue what they're doing. And that's the beauty of our remote lifestyle, I guess.
Yeah, good, well put. Making the big bucks in a low-cost venue.
Just keep extracting comments out of Joe today. Joe, come on, speak.
I'm waiting. I'm just kind of out there, kind of out in the swells, waiting for that like nice set of waves. It's not there yet, though.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to waste any energy.
I can see that. I feel like you're hanging out in the dispensary instead of your house today.
No, I wish. But I was curious, do you still own some Router?
No. Define, I do, but not Router.
Yeah.
Do you?
No, I have some Define, but mainly in some vaults, archive things.
The vaults. This image of Joe going back to the vault.
Yeah, kicking over the abacus.
Pulling out the USB keys that he has stored in
by my 5 1/4
boxes.
inch floppies.
Yeah. I think it's like this robotic thing that goes in. Goes. Joe says, "Summon for me A7." He's got all those gazillions of dollars stored in the vault.
It's my mining wallet from 2009. Oh yeah, let's pull out another one of those 0-day wallets. How much on that one? Oh, 40 billion. All right, fuck.
All right.
Let's give it away.
Yeah. So, Joe, you got anything else you want to talk about today?
Not really. No, I mean it's like I don't. Nothing is out there really compelling reaching at me at all.
Okay.
Other than that, it seems relatively normal. Um, for once. So I like the fact that things seem to be settling down. We are getting ready to roll into primary season in the U.S., so that should be interesting. Um, I just don't for crypto. I see it. Again, I don't see the doomsday scenario. I'm not super ebullient, but sometimes it's like it just happens.
Right.
So I don't see anything there that says no. Um, I think the question I have in my mind is just the sequence of events. Do people sell crypto now, trying to get ready for, I guess, an equities dip? Well, I would say they probably, if they're going to do that, they probably would have already sold the crypto. Um,
Right.
do people sell equities now to get ready to buy crypto on the dip or start scaling some into crypto? I can actually see that. I don't know if I see someone who's an equities guy, maybe selling equities or has been selling to maybe hopefully buy a dip. But, I don't think there's enough there on the table right now to cause that big dip that they want. I think it has to be something more, a bigger war or something.
Right.
So everything to me seems like status quo, and that the markets are adjusting, and things seem to be holding together. But we'll see. I don't feel like, but I didn't really feel super excited in January of 21 either.
Right.
I don't know. Did you? I remember you
No.
saying something to me, and I was like, "Oh, really?" And
I mean, I was excited about what was starting to happen, but I no, I wasn't overwhelmed.
yeah, because we were like looking at that, and we were thinking just what certain ones of the bots were doing versus just buying and holding BTC, and it was quietly happening. It wasn't like
Right.
there was the roaring 20s and confetti everywhere. It was just like, wait, what happened? Oh yeah, you missed it too. About 2 months
Right.
back.
Right.
It was like, and that's when you kind of know it when it's too late. So these things to me can go anytime. Things can move in different directions very quickly. It is interesting to me how big the numbers are. But then go look at some U.S. equities and look at those size of those numbers, and you're just like,
Right.
wow,
Right.
is that any more real? I don't know. I mean, do you
No,
see anything
I
out there super exciting that's
um
new, or
look, I
just
think well, I mean, well, those are the kinds of things that I bring up every day, It's like you know me, I focus on the I focus on the I focus on the tech that I think is cool, and then I focus on the things I think will grow us, right? And so the things like the router announcement, things like MetaMask integrated with Apple Pay, I think all of those things are just these incremental steps that get us there. And I tweeted about that the other day. I don't think we're not even close to that hockey stick of growth yet, right? We're still in the stage where it's people willing to get their hands fucking dirty. But the good news is there are going to be these little bits and pieces of things that happen, and I just want to keep on top of those because I think those little. I saw a study the other day, a survey of Americans that said. I think it was 53% of Americans believe that cryptocurrency will be the future of money, right? Those
yeah,
th- that that's really big fucking news, right? I mean that's actually significant. If you've got 53% of the people already kind of saying, yeah, cryptocurrency will be the future, that's that's a big thing. I mean, the level of penetration we have into the consciousness of other humans that are not involved in crypto the way we are relative to what we had in 2017, is it's astounding. It's absolutely astounding. And now, we're permeating into games on their phones. We're permeating into other ways that they can make money. We're starting to launch apps that integrate it. We have people sending Bitcoin back and forth to each other in Cash App and Venmo and PayPal. I mean, all of these little pieces for me are incredibly positive signs. Do I think we'll still have ups and downs? Do I think we'll still have volatility? Yes. But I also think that we're reaching a point where I think we'll have a decoupling eventually, right? And I know you think that as well. So, and I'm hopeful that'll happen, sooner than later. But I think it's still going to be a gradual eating away process.
Well, I think it's already happened or happening, and people don't see it. So people might not be actually using crypto, but they're using an app or a process that is used the same way to use crypto.
Right.
They're just doing it with currency,
Right.
or credit cards or whatever. So to me, I think, like when fintech was first being bandied about as a phrase, to me, that was banking on a phone in my mind. That was
Right.
fintech. Okay.
Right.
So everything about money and this and that. Now it's changed to different, things, and then blockchain's been added to the mix into other things you do with blockchain that say aren't necessarily fintechy, but in a sense maybe more crypto like. But if you're already using the PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Coinbase wallets, things like that, you can figure the other stuff out.
Yep.
It's not as hard anymore. It's not. So to me, it's almost like, the cryptocurrency and stable coins and central bank digital coins, those are all kind of going to be different aspects of the same thing. At this point, everybody's going to use it the same way to get the loan, borrow for the car, pay for the seats, through the Apple Pay thing you talked about, or through a Visa, or through whatever. I mean, it's already, all that's already being done. I'm trying to think what comes. I think things like, we're talking a little about Florida prepaid college plans. I like those kind of things showing on a dashboard, on an app, on a phone, how much your savings are growing like that.
Right.
By just going in, and it being on, recorded on blockchain, so that that you can't get stiffed later on. The state has to pay, as good as you can get anyhow.
Right.
Things like that, more practical, sort of just visualization applications, or anything that, how this is kind of used next, and then just is all like, 10 trillion of BlackRock's money going to be sitting in crypto? I don't see where it would sit.
No.
I mean, new instruments probably get created,
Right.
but it doesn't mean they're going to go buy the shit out of Dogecoin or something like that, or one that I have, Polydoge. Right. It just, there's no need for it. They do their own.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're going to see what happens next in my mind. But, just like we look back at, we had this conversation in 2018, talking about Tron and Cardano and Stellar and, Ethereum and EOS, and go down the list, and what were the ones that were going to be the next ones, the survivors. And, we missed on a whole bunch of new ones. I'll put it to you that way.
Yep.
We missed all the layer 2 shit. We missed all the other chains. We missed we did get the DeFi stuff. We did get the Aave and all of that, because all that shit was already running on Ethereum.
Right.
So, we picked up all of those, but we missed just wide open chunks there.
Yep.
That, come next. Maybe it's things like, think about how all those people going around, I want to say like Peachtree or something, where they go around, people win the lottery, and so they're basically buying that lottery off of them,
Right.
So
buying the future revenue at a discount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're securitizing all of that, and then they sell it to another investor at a certain coupon. They take their fee. The same thing happened with the mortgages back in 2008. There's all these instruments. Well, if you could crowdsource stuff like that, like instant, I mean, it's already there, but in ways where it's more automated or bot driven, where things just happen when, under certain conditions, and AIs run, and, financial instruments are executed. I mean, to me, that's kind of where the DeFi stuff could go next.
Yep.
Things like that.
Agree.
Complex modeled algorithms that just become strategies, I guess. I don't know. There's more coming, that's for sure.
Definitely
we always
agree.
thought. I remember like when .com was winding down, and there was the fiber all over DC, and everybody's like, "Okay, great. Now what do we do with this?" There was like 3% capacity going. Everybody's like, "Shit, man, I don't know. What are we gonna do?" This is before YouTube. This is before iPhones and all the tech world that you know of as today. Before all of that existed. And they obviously found stuff to take it all up. But the thing is, the next thing always comes in my perspective. So
yep.
I think the curious thing now is, all these sort of micropayment type, maybe something like scaled entrepreneurialism where, you have different, say, consumer price points in different cultures. Maybe it's tied to like, some kind of Frax like universal stable coin that crosses across costs. So like, maybe the US would be Frax plus 3, and maybe the base tier would be 1. I don't know if it would go down or if it would stay at 1 on lesser developed countries, and just have different indexes that are tied to a local inflation and something else, and then make it so that it has the same purchasing power. I mean, it seems to be like these types of, I'm not saying that's the only one, but I'm saying that things like that would be optimizations of, capital velocity, capital efficiency, capital stability. At the end of the day, that's what everybody wants. I mean, all the establishment guys and gals, they want stability, predictability. It's the disruptors like us that have to shake it up a little bit.
There you go.
So
absolutely.
But I don't know. I could keep going on and on and on here. I feel like I'm like, it's 2 a.m. and we're in Poughkeepsie somewhere, and there's like 2 people passed out on the bar, and somebody's still wanting to hear another one. One more.
That's hilarious.
No, I don't know. I mean, spring is here, basically.
Spring has sprung.
Yeah.
Joe.
So what do you like? Anything exciting been like sticking out to like?
It's a personal question.
Wow, that's interesting.
No, at the moment, no.
I'm trying to keep it in the office.
I thought it was pretty interesting. What is it? DeFi Kingdom launched the first fully dedicated subchain on Avalanche yesterday for their gaming NFT platform, and I think that's a really smart thing that's available in the Avalanche system. So essentially they have their own blockchain, but it's still tied to Avalanche. So they get all the benefits and capabilities of what Avalanche has already. And they can then just control fees and tokens and everything else that lives on that one. So, I think that's going to be happening more and more. I think the question becomes, again, what we were talking about earlier with Router, how does that scale in terms of seamless cross-chain capabilities? Right now, currently, essentially the subchains on Avalanche, you can transfer back and forth, but you got to know which one you're on and all this other shit. So hopefully Avalanche is working on a way to make that simpler and cleaner. So that was good news. I'm excited. I'm still excited about Bancor launching. I'm excited. Oh, Alchemix was listed on Kraken. So that's good news for them. Obviously, we still depend on centralized exchanges sometimes for price discovery and people becoming engaged and understanding and figuring out what's going on. So I think that's a really good, that's a good move for them. That's all I got today, Joe.
Yeah, lots of exciting developments. Right.
What the fuck is up with this guy?
No, I keep pulling my headset out.
Every time I talk. Is that for plausible deniability?
What, me? No.
I never heard him say anything like that.
No, I'm just waiting for, I'm waiting for some good stuff to talk about. It's not, I don't know. I was spending too much time going through every single article but I'm not really doing a lot of trading right now. So it's actually a good time to sort of focus in. I'm just trying to kind of figure out what happens next big time in the market, as far as what is the next tech that's going to come out of this. I don't know what it is, of course, but maybe we'll figure it out. But it's not that I doubt it will. I don't doubt that it will show up. I know it will. I just want to make sure I figure out what it is beforehand.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
So
let's wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. We appreciate you. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe. Click the bell on YouTube. Feel free to DM me, B05 Crypto on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. Happy to hear your ideas, your thoughts, your feedback, your criticisms. How much you hate Joe, whatever it is that you want to talk to me about. I'm just kidding. We love you guys. We appreciate you. We love your feedback and input, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks, Joe.
That's right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, buddy. All right.
Bye.